Welcome to. It's really early in the morning, and I have my tea with me that is going to just help me regulate myself through this process as we go through another unscripted episode of the podcast. However, it's not entirely unscripted. I took some notes, so we're gonna see if I can use that. If I can use that to guide myself to the end goal. Now, today's episode came about in a way that a lot of episodes come about for me, is when I am doing something that is extremely meditative for me, and I end up having I call it channeling, because these are things that are occurring to me and they're just flowing into me, and the more I'm quiet and the more I'm at peace, and the more that my mind is just living in that moment and allowing things to come to me, the more clear the message comes across. And so I went on a run yesterday. I usually go on runs out in nature, trail runs, and they're hikes a little bit, so it takes me about an hour and a half, and throughout that hour and a half, this is just what came to me. And so in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the power that's in your words and who and what you attribute that power to, and how that matters. Ways to notice where your mindset is and how to shift it. Also, understanding transformation, and how to shift your mindset around transformation, as opposed to, again, low vibrational. So just to preface this entire episode, I'm gonna say this is not inherently religious. This is not inherently negative or positive. When I'm speaking about things, I like to talk about them in the sense of low vibration and high vibration. And so thinking about being the victim, being trapped, being powerless, as opposed to reclaiming your power and embodying your true strength and so forth. So those are the two sides of the spectrum that mentally I operate in. And I know that nothing is inherently black or white. Life is entirely filled with gray. And so I never try to define one thing entirely by a word. And so I try to define it by the energy that's associated with it. And so hopefully that makes sense. And hopefully as we go through this, you can understand what I'm trying to say as I bring my message across, without there being such a black and white narrative going on. Also, shout out to anybody that also loves rose petal tea. Hey everyone, Ron Natalia here, your host for the Fear Nothing, Feel Everything podcast, where I do my best to create a safe space for you and your blossoming authenticity. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode, and without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so having my notebook here makes this easier, but it also makes it harder, because my friend makes fun of me all the time for this thing that I do. She calls it a millennial pause. However, I think it's something that a lot of people do when they're actually thinking about what they want to say. I'm not just going to blurt out a bunch of word salad and expect it to make sense. I want to say it in a way that is concise, that is prepared. And so I'm breaking myself out of that habit and allowing myself to have a more train of thought, stream of consciousness vibe going on here. So I hope that you follow me. I hope that you understand, and I feel like it'll give you more of an idea of who I am as a person and how I speak. I'm also going to do my best to not use the word right or if you understand, because you cannot answer me, number one, and number two, is a bad speaking habit that I have. And when I say bad habit, it comes from me just always wanting to be understood and doing whatever I could in my power to correct that as a child. So if someone didn't understand me, I wouldn't just let it be. I would kind of nod it, and it would nod me because I was being misunderstood. And so words like right, words like you feel me, words like you understand are like me reaching out for validation, and therefore I'm trying to break myself out of that. We're all still growing, we're all still healing, we're all still learning. So let's get into it. Your words are powerful. And the power of your words and why and who you attribute it to matters. I think that when we come into experiences in our lives that are transformative or that jar us or remove us from our center, it's important to witness or bring an awareness around who we are saying is in charge of that. And ways that we can notice this kind of moves around, if you look at it, the words that you use to attribute power or the things that you want to be associated with. I think as human beings, we naturally want to be aligned with the thing that has the most power, the most control, or the most of something that we find to be influential to us, right? And so what phrases or what words, what people do you find yourself wanting to align with the most, and why can give you a very clear picture of who you want to be and what you are trying to emulate. And that can allow you to understand if you are aligning yourself with a low vibrational energy. So for example, every time you're about to complete a mission or dig deep or go and do something, for example, like people use words like, oh, I'm on demon time, oh, I'm a menace to society, I'm heartless, blah blah blah, right? It's kind of easy to think like, oh, these are good things, these are things that protect me, they make me feel good. And other people that are heartless and on demon time and all these have all these nice things, they have money, they have love, they have friends, and if they don't care because they don't need it, right? And I think, like I said, this is like low vibration energy in comparison to high vibration, right? When you're aligning yourself with things that are not necessarily conducive or productive to your growth, but they make you feel good in the moment. And so you're attributing your power, and your voice to these things and to these people and to these types. And I think a clearer example, give me a minute, like what is happening? Anyways, and I think a clearer example of this is, and me and my mom have a little bit of a disagreement about this all the time, is when something bad happens or when things don't go to plan, she'll always be like, oh, that's the devil, right? And I think that it's a habit. I think that everything that we do as humans can become habits or just like learned sayings or defense mechanisms or just colloquialisms that we don't realize have a lot of power over our mindset or the things that we actually believe, right? And so whenever something bad happens, a lot of people from the Caribbean is like, oh, that's the devil, or not today, Satan, and all these kinds of like sayings, right? And so I don't agree with my mom in that way, because she'll always say like, if things don't go the way that she wants them to, it's the devil moving against her, right? Whereas for me, when things don't go the way I want them to, I see it as God, source, the universe, redirection, guidance, right? It was not meant for me, because whatever is meant for me is not going to come with struggle, is not going to come with hardship, it's not going to come with confusion, right? And I also think it's very important that you look at the moments in your life that have transformed you the most, or that have moved you from your center the most, or that has jarred you, and think like, who did you give that power to? Are you giving it to some malevolent evil force that can just grip your life and move it around to its own will that you can do nothing about? Or are you giving it to a positive force that is actually moving you in a direction that is meant to grow you, right? And I think like when we incorporate this idea of a devil or evil energy, it allows people, or it moves people into this energy or this vibration that makes them feel powerless, right? Or it encourages your victim mentality, and it takes away your ability to do something. Because when we envision evil or the devil, it's this thing that we know of, but we can't control it, and we are a victim to it unless something else that we have no control over comes and saves us, right? Which is the energy of angels or God, right? And I think when we allow people to sit back on that belief, it doesn't give them the perspective to see how they're playing a role in what's happening. It takes away their accountability. It takes away their power to transform, to move, to make things happen, because they believe that it's this evil thing that's just holding them down. And I think it's very much a matter of your mindset when you don't give your power to this thing. It's powerful for your mind, for your soul, for your beliefs to not give that transformative power of having your entire day derailed, of having your life derailed, of having a relationship fall apart, of having a part of you that was so intrinsic to you fall away to some thing, like not saying with your mouth that this evil is ruling my life. This evil has the power to transform my whole life, right? I think it speaks to where you are mentally when everything that happens in your life is because of evil. Because now, where is the disconnect in there being something positive or good acting in your life? And I think when things fall apart, I think this is kind of where the mindset comes in, and where shifting your mindset can help you. Because when you shift your thoughts away from things just being negative or positive, and you think of everything working out in your favor, you start to see these negative things as transformative things. What I'm trying to say here is start to see the hardship in your life, the deaths in your life. And when I say deaths, I mean the complete falling apart of your past selves as transformation, right? Think of all of the times in your life where things were absolutely falling apart and you were the most uncomfortable you had ever been. If you are here now, it's because you survived that and you've grown from that. And if you're in that moment right now, try to shift and see what is being taken away from you, or what is being removed from your life, and how it is meant to transform you, and reclaim your power over the situation, right? When things are falling apart around me, and I feel like I don't have control over any of the pieces, I think of my life as an egg, right? And if you're in an egg, well, the egg is your barrier, and you're trapped in this darkness until everything falls apart and it introduces new life into your life. When we see our lives as constantly breaking out of an egg, constantly revealing a new world to ourselves, and being reborn as a version of ourselves that can go out into this new world and enjoy it more because we've learned something new, we've transformed, we've taken on whatever lesson, attribute we were meant to. That is powerful. And I'm going to connect this with another thought, or another train of thought that I was having But the main thing that we're going to pull away from this part of the discussion is not giving transformative things negative connotations, not giving transformative moments in our lives too evil, to the devil, too low vibration, because low vibration does not transform things. I mean, it can inspire you, but it cannot transform you in the way that you think. Low vibration is the energy that comes in to move you into something higher, because you now know that everything that you're calling in is in the same realm. And everything that you want to call in is in a higher realm, but the only way for you to get up there is to get out of this realm, right? And so when you associate yourself with low vibrational thoughts, you're going to maintain low vibrational energy, and everything you attract is going to be low vibration. That's why a lot of the times, if you're in a relationship, you might be like, why do I keep attracting the same partner? Why do I keep attracting the same friends? And you will see this pattern unravel in your life where you might be having different relationships, but they're with the same people. They're just in different places. They have different faces, but the interactions are still the same, because the lesson isn't learned and you aren't exercising your power, or you aren't transforming in the way that you need to attract a different level of people, a different level of relationship, a different level of self-deservingness or worthiness around friendships or relationships. So I'm going to leave that there. I shift a lot when I'm talking. I'm going to leave that there, and we're going to talk about numbing as a form of self-abandonment. And the reason this came about is because in my country, I'm originally from the Bahamas. In my country, there's been movement or rumors or political intention towards the legalization of marijuana. And I have very mixed feelings about marijuana. I think that the marijuana that exists today is probably not the marijuana that our parents before us have used. And I try not to get too conspiracy foil-hatted with these things, but I genuinely think plants as they are fine. However, plants as they are and all of their medicinal properties usually end up being used by pharmaceutical companies or transformed into medication. And while they're experimenting with these plants, they make them illegal for the public to use. And this has happened with many plants before. For example, the blue lotus flower, or a lot of plants that are the origin for psychological medication, pain medication, were once plants that are now illegal because the components of the plants are being monetized. So whenever a large body of people take something as it is and they ban you from using it until they can monetize it, I believe that that thing has been transformed in such a way as to where it might not be as tame or natural or harmless as it once was. That's my full hat theory. You can come for me. I don't care. I don't care. Numbing as a form of self-abandonment. And I think because this conversation came about with marijuana, it made me also think of all of the other ways that we numb ourselves. And why would it be a form of self-abandonment is because we are not just one thing. I think whenever we look at ourselves in the mirror, we see our physical self and we are like, this is me. However, we are multiple things coming into one whole. We are our body, we are our mind, and we are our soul, right? And anytime we choose to numb or distract any part of that three, It's a form of self-abandonment because now there's a component missing that the other two need to survive a hardship or a moment of pain, right? So, for example, if you're going through a hard time, you're in pain, and you choose to distract your mind or numb your body or only cater to your soul, there are two other parts of you that are being actively abandoned in its time of need. And I think it says a lot about us when we cannot sit with ourselves through hard times and give ourselves the grace, the love, the support, the patience that we need, and understand that yes, pain is hard, but just because we are in pain, we are not coming into the end. Pain is not our destruction. And I think every time people think that where their pain has come to destroy them, then they numb themselves. It removes them from the power or the energy of transformation, because you need all three of your parts to be present, aware, and active to transform. If you have come to a place where you are being forced into discomfort, but to avoid that discomfort, you eat a lot of food and it makes your brain happy and you go to sleep, right? That discomfort is still there. That transformative energy is still there, but now it's going to be intensified whenever when all of your parts come back. When the food wears off, when the alcohol wears off, when the drugs wear off, and you cannot sit with yourself because you are still in that space where you are meant to transform. You are meant to go through the pain. You are meant to become self-aware and change something within yourself or within the way you are interacting with the things around you to transform. And I think that, and I wrote this down because what I'm getting to is, if you see everything as something that has come to destroy you and not to transform you, you are more likely to stay in the discomfort that is actually destroying you. So this is again coming back to my point on mindset, right? If you say, oh, this is the devil come to destroy me, there's nothing I can do, I am powerless because the devil is this malevolent thing and I'm just going to pray to God, and then because I'm in so much pain, I'm going to smoke my weed or drink my alcohol or have sex or whatever thing that you are using to momentarily placate yourself, you are actually pulling yourself away from that transformation energy. And that's because numbing ourselves, it feels good. It doesn't feel as hard, right? But it is tearing you apart by taking away your ability to grow, your ability to hold space for more magnificent, great things. And all this to say, if every time there comes, and like, I'm gonna read this because I don't want to fuck this up, I really don't. If every time there comes an opportunity to transform and you rather be numb, you rather be placated, you rather be pacified instead of going through the process, instead of going through the self-awareness, instead of going through whatever it takes to break the pattern that comes with transformation, you will continue to repeat the pattern. You will continue to experience the pain. And that's why you'll find like a lot of people, they're like, oh, it never goes away. I don't know what to do. You have to reclaim your power. You have to shift your mindset. You have to stop believing that it's this evil, uncontrollable thing that is holding you down. And it's actually something that you have the power to transform if you go through the pain, if you stay with yourself through the pain, if you actually look within yourself for the answer. A lot of the times we know what's wrong and we know what we need to do, but it's hard. It's harder than drinking. It's harder than smoking. It's harder than hanging out with people that aren't good for us. It's harder than staying in the relationship that's not working. And so we cannot transform. And so the same discomfort sticks around, but it's the devil that we know. Devil. So you have to die. You have to transform. You cannot stay the same and receive, maintain, or grow what a transformed version of you is meant to have, because you don't have the capacity for it. You don't have the know-how or the awareness to hold on to it. It's like if you're calling in a mature, loving partner, but you don't know how to maintain a mature, loving relationship, your relationship is going to fall apart. If you're calling in more money, but you have really bad habits with money and you cannot hold on to a dollar, you don't know how to save, you don't know how to invest, you aren't going to align with more money. And I'm trying to make this very clear in examples of what people commonly want or need. And so I hope all of this made sense. And I hope you guys continue to journey in love and grace and really begin to sit down with yourself and see what parts of your life have you been abandoning yourself in? What parts of your life have you been feeling the need to transform or been feeling a lot of discomfort? And are you going to wait for everything to fall away and you have to be forced out of your egg? Or are you going to face that transformation head on and reclaim your power and understand that it is transformation and not death? And death is transformation. I think that do not see death as your destruction, as the end. There are parts of you that you cannot carry with you into the life that you want. There are parts of you that have brought you to where you are, but they're not meant to go to your final destination. And I think when people say, oh, people are for a season, like some people are for a season, some parts of you are for a season. Not every part of you is meant to stay with you. Some parts of you that once protected you are now destroying you. They're holding you back. You have to cut them off. You have to prune the plant, prune the bush, you know. So, journey in love, journey in grace. Remember always that you are loved by God, the universe, all of your ancestors and guides, and me. And until next time, bye.